My name's Simon Barlow. I'm a design director at Evolution Studios working on Driveclub. I've been at Evolution Studios for 14 years, coming up on 14 years. I've been in the industry for a long time, primarily as a designer. So I've been responsible for a lot of the design on the WRC series, the MotorStorm series, and now obviously Driveclub. I started work on Driveclub probably surprisingly 10 years ago, and that's no lie. The original concept for Driveclub was pitched by a bunch of different people. I put a pitch together for it and a few other people at the studio, but we initially looked at Driveclub about 10 years ago. And at the time, the infrastructure wasn't quite right for the game. Like, this is before Facebook, before social networking. We knew we wanted to create this game that was about like connecting people, like car racing fans together. We just didn't quite know how we were going to do it. So we parked the concept for a while. And then when the PlayStation 4 was announced and we started, this is like internally, we started talking about things with Sony, we realized that the PS4 was going to be a very social platform. And we went back to the Driveclub concept and thought, actually, now feels like the right time to do this. So yeah, I could say I've been working on it for 10 years, actually hands-on probably more like 3, but it's been a big part of my life at Evolution Studios. It's been a game we've wanted to make for a long time. So the game was originally, it was ready at launch, like we had a good game at launch. You know, it would have reviewed pretty well, it would have sold pretty well, but it wasn't quite the experience that we wanted it to be, and we knew that we could make it better. We knew that we could do it justice if we just had a bit more time. So rather than Sony come to us and say, guys, you know, we think you should delay the title, we actually went to them and we said, look, we can release it now if you want, but we'd really like some more time with it. You know, we want to refine the experience. We want to make the social mechanics feel much more embedded in the experience. We talked before in the press about the dynamic menu, and that was part of really the main reason why we wanted to delay the game. This is the kind of the interface that connects everybody together and also allows you to experience Driveclub. And it just wasn't quite working right. So thankfully, Sony were really supportive and said, take as long as you need, you know. And that's why we didn't really have a fixed date in mind, because they want to get out this year, but they were like, when it's ready, and we'll release it when we feel it's ready. And that was fantastic. You know, it was so refreshing to have that level of support and be able to take the time to really invest in the title and make it the game that we always wanted it to be. And in the end, we got it out only a year after we originally planned to. But I hope everybody that maybe saw it early on, caught it at E3 or Gamescom last year, like pretty much everybody I've spoken to since then has said it has improved immeasurably since that time. So obviously it was worth it. Driveclub is, at its core, a social racing experience, or a social racing platform. And what that means is, this is an organic service. This isn't just a game that we launch that you play and then you're done with it. The model for this has not really been explored in racing games. It's not really been explored in console games before. This is much more like an MMO, if you like that kind of model where, you know, there's a really solid game experience at launch that just continues to grow and get better and be refined, and that's what we're trying to do with Driveclub. So we're giving you a huge amount of content to begin with, and that's one of the other advantages of having the game delayed, is that like not everybody in the team was working on something that was contributing to that. So what happened was we had like pretty much the entire art team with an extra year's development. So we just did some more stuff in the game. We added more content to it. We made it prettier. We added weather. You know, we're working on a photo mode for it. All of these things are going to help grow this game experience. It's a really difficult concept to get across to people because it hasn't really been done before. At its core, the game is it straddles the kind of the sweet spot between arcade and simulation. Like, it feels accessible. You can pick it up and play it and have fun with it without knowing too much about. I mean, you obviously have to know a little bit about racing games, but you don't have to have too much of experience of racing. But there is so much depth in the handling model, and particularly when you go through some of the higher power cars like the supercars and the hypercars, that the more you play it, the more you experience the subtle nuances of each vehicle, and the more you can see that the amount of depth we've gone to with each handling model and how accurate they really are. So, you know, it's difficult to encapsulate without actually getting your hands on it, but it feels. There's not many games that do this, and there hasn't been one that's done this for a very, very long time. That kind of very accessible but very rewarding and sort of detailed handling model. We feel we've really hit that sweet spot. We're hoping it's going to be for everybody that likes cars and racing. And it's really difficult to achieve, really difficult, which is why we spent so long on it. I mean, we've been making racing games for 15 years or more. We've built up a lot of experience over that time. And like really the only other game that's done this in recent memory is like, I guess, the Project Gotham series. Like there's been nothing since then. It feels like so we're racing fans, we're gamers. We play Forza, we play Gran Turismo, we still play Project Gotham now, you know. And as gamers, we wanted something different. There felt like there was something missing. We'd done MotorStorm, and you know, there's the Need for Speed series, there's arcade games, there's obviously Gran Turismo and Forza at the other end. There was nothing in the middle, and that felt like the right thing for us to do with Driveclub. So it feels like a cop-out to say it's for everybody, but it kind of is. When we've been doing our user testing, we've used two different focus groups, one of which is arcade players and one of which is simulation players. Now, we've not tried to target the game at any one particular market. What we've tried to do is understand the behaviours of each group of players, how they like to experience their racing games, what is it they expect from that experience, and try and incorporate that into Driveclub without diluting it for any one market. Because it feels very cynical to do that. It's you know, it wasn't the way we wanted to approach it. We felt we could make a very connected, very social racing game, and ultimately, if you're trying to make a connected experience, you need as many players as possible, right? You live or die on your community. So, I guess a similar way to the way MMOs are structured, or certainly modern MMOs, where there is a very rewarding or semi-linear kind of quest progression, and it feels like there's lots of good content and story content for you to get involved in, but then there's all the high-level dungeons and raids, and there's so much content there, and they appeal to a wide variety of players. Well, we thought, well, why can't we do that? Why do racing games have to be arcade or simulation? Why can't they just be a racing game, you know? And you get out of that game what you want to get out of it. If you're the person that likes really accurate racing, you want to shave milliseconds off your lap time and be really accurate, you can totally do that. If you want to be the person that just likes drifting around corners and showing off, you can totally do that as well. And both ways are viable ways to progress through the game. You know, we have spent a lot of time balancing this, and the extra year in development has allowed us to really refine that experience. So we feel like this is a very, very balanced, very rewarding game. And we would just urge players, like if you're a simulation player or an arcade player and you're not really sure where this fits, pick it up. The PS Plus version's free. It's not crippled. We're not reducing the content of it. The only thing you're going to get in retail is more tracks and more cars. You know, every game mode, challenges, clubs, multiplayer, everything is available in PS Plus for free. So we just want people to pick it up and play it and make their own mind up. So it's standard retail price basically for the retail version. Like Joe said, you know, your territory rep will be able to give you the exact price. But what we're trying to do with the DLC is slightly different. I said before that this was a service or a platform. What we didn't want to do was give you a game at launch and that's it, and then maybe 3 to 6 months later give you some DLC for it. But it's kind of, by then your community's gone. You know, there's no point in doing that. So with Driveclub, we've been upfront about what you're getting from day one. We've got a nice mix of paid-for content and free content because we understand that both is important. We have to release paid-for content because we can't make any stuff without getting paid for it. You know, we are a business at the end of the day, and we need to pay our staff. But by the same token, we want to try and give the community as much free stuff as we possibly can. And certainly the biggest features and the biggest content updates will be for free. So the weather update that we're releasing towards the end of this year will be free. Photo mode will be free. New tracks and locations will be free. We will give you some cars for free regularly every month. So that if you don't want to spend any more money on the game, you've already bought your retail copy, that's fine, you don't have to. There's always going to be more stuff for you to play. And again, it follows that kind of the MMO service model. There's new content that everybody can experience for free and everybody's on the same playing field. But if you want to get deeper into the experience, if there's a particular car that you want to play, if you want some more events, if you want some more trophies, for example, as part of those event packages, then for a small amount of money, you can buy more additional content on top of that experience. The season passes are going to be available from launch. It does represent a significant saving on buying everything individually. In fact, we're like most season passes come in at about 50% of the total cost. Ours is more like 60-70%, like discounted. We're trying to. We don't want to rip people off. We're not trying to nickel and dime people here. We're trying to find the right balance between being able to pay our staff so that they can continue to make content, but giving as much away for free or as for a minimal cost as we possibly can. As well as that, with the season pass itself, we're telling you what you're going to get up front, so you know exactly how many cars, like how many different assets you're going to get available to you. So you're more informed before you make that decision, because we know that people's money is precious, particularly in the run up to Christmas. You've only got a limited budget to spend on the games, so we want to give you as much information as you can to make that decision.